when we say agentic infrastructure, what are some of the components here? Like, we'll put up a table here for the folks watching on YouTube, but we've got like the data layer, the agent orchestration, the execution layer, feedback and learning, but there's also human in the loop sometimes. What are your thoughts on these components?
Yeah, definitely. I think for any organization or team or function, right, to build out any sort of agentic infrastructure, where you'd expect the agents to autonomously work and talk to each other and connect data with each other. I think there is sort of, you just said it, like the data layer, right, where um, everything needs access to data, right? So the agent's gonna need access to data too. And is your data in one place? Is whether it's your data warehouse, the Snowflake, Databricks, right? Like wherever that is, like that layer needs to exist. As you're thinking about creating agents or connecting them to each other. Then there is the agent orchestration. So how do these, agents talk to each other? And, my background is a lot on the life cycle and product marketing. So if I were to take a life cycle marketing use case, if I'm sending out an email campaign, right, like I could have an email copy agent, an email HTML coding agent, right? Um, how do I copy, say like how does my copy agent take that copy, like if there's a Figma agent that builds out the email or like visualizes the email or designs the email, and then, there's the coding agent, then that codes out the email. Like right now, I think where a lot of teams are, they're probably building out these agents, individually, or like testing around it, but then you need an orchestration layer eventually for these agents to sort of has the copy to Figma, from Figma to the HTML building interface, right? So that it's all like autonomously done. And so I think at some point, right, that orchestration layer needs to exist. Um, then there is the execution layer, right? Like each of this agent needs to like do the tasks somewhere. And so that could be, right, like in the copy agent, well, it could be like a, just a custom GPT, right? Like executing within that, OpenAI, chat GPT interface and like writing the copy based on brand guidelines and whatnot. Or sometimes it could have to be connected with your marketing automation platform, right? Like, so that layer needs to be like thought through as well. And then finally, there is, I guess not finally, there is the two other components. There is the feedback and learning, how does then data pass in and back and from these agents to one another, right? Like, how does like learning improve over time? And then finally, there is the human in the loop, right? Like, how does the copy agent make sure the human or the marketers checked the copy is on brand, like it makes sense, it's legal approved and whatnot. And then from there, like they sort of okay. And so, how does like all of it work? I I think uh I think we are in that evolution phase where I think people are playing around with like one or two agents and like saying, hey, like can an agent individually solve like one thing for me? But I think as we think about like building sort of that agentic infrastructure, like the connectivity of all of these things is like gonna be really important. um, I think the last two things I'll say is, there are platforms out there like N8N, Zapier. I know several people on the podcast have spoken about it in the past too, where some of that connectivity, right, these tools are enabling, that connectivity of, if you need a Slack connected to a Google Sheet for your data analysis and like reporting, right? Like some of that orchestration could happen in those tools. And I know the MCP model context protocol, right? Like that is, another mechanism potentially for tools to like talk to each other and like orchestrate. Um, so yeah, I think there's a lot of technology and tools, out there that is like evolving pretty fast, and something I think marketers should keep an eye out and figure out, what fits best for their use case and their company.